Good afternoon and welcome to Jolly Life here on CEMTV. How are you doing today? I hope you are having a wonderful Friday afternoon. It is the weekend. It is Friday. And like I said earlier, I hope you're doing good. I hope your day has been productive. Perhaps you are closing, perhaps you're about to close, perhaps you're starting work by this time, or perhaps you are not even at work around, this time. Whichever it is, I do hope you are having a wonderful, wonderful Friday afternoon. I'm not alone in the studio, of course. I'm not alone on Jolly Life. I cannot be alone on Jolly Life. I have with me the beautiful Vera Phillip here with me, our very own weather oracle, Vera.
I've not received even one sacrifice.
Vera.
I've not received even one sacrifice to the gods ever since they started calling me this weather oracle.
That's a lie. Can't you see how you're shining? You're so fresh.
Not even one.
That's not true.
One sacrifice.
That's not true. Come
when
on.
When the gods will get angry. When the gods will strike, let nobody call me. When the gods will strike, let nobody call me.
Don't worry. Time will come. The oracle will be receiving what is due the oracle.
When is that time?
You are the oracle now. It's you that will know now. How should I know?
When I've changed baton, when will that time come? Anyways, good afternoon, and as Tammy has said, welcome to Jolly Life right here on SEM Television, where we give you light-hearted conversations. Of course, we try as much as we can to give you perspectives to the different conversations that we'll be having on the show this afternoon. Welcome once again. I am Vera Phillip, and I'll be doing this alongside Tammy this afternoon.
Now, as she said, I'll be doing this alongside Tammy this afternoon. I was almost hard pressed to say, no, you call me Mr. Tammy. I don't subscribe to that Oyibo life.
No, what's serious? That's basically what we're talking about today. Oh, Mr. Tammy, Chief Tammy, Honorable Tammy. No. It's Honorable Professor Tammy, Honorable Professor, and Mr. Chief. Is it one? Is it Nana one? You know, some chieftaincy titles, you have to include it in their names. They will not have you call their names without including that chieftaincy.
Yeah, let me just mistake and have Senebo or Amayana boy in my name. Yeah. You must add that Amayana.
They spent so much money to get that chieftaincy title, so you must call it. You must call that name and add.
But then, in certain scenarios, one could say that not only does it boil down to personal, preference and taste, I think it boils down to etiquette, culture, and a whole lot of other things that we'll be talking about today. So, in case you don't know what we're talking about, to you all of this banter is coming from nowhere. The matter on ground now, one of the trending stories going around social media is of a famous billionaire, Tony Elumelu, being in an interview where a trainee, addressed him as Tony, greeted him and called him Tony. And he was like, no, I don't subscribe to that Oyibo life here. This is, you either call me, It was a whole scene. And honestly, I don't want to paraphrase. I want you to see it for yourself in case you haven't seen it. So here's that video. Okay, before we actually bring that video to you, let me ask Vera. Vera, do you think, if you are put in that situation, you would react the same way? Because let me start with myself. I want you to ruminate on that question first. Let me start with myself, because personally speaking, which is one of the reasons I said personal, taste would also play into the matter. Personally speaking, I don't think I would mind, especially if we're in this particular situation. Now, was it said in spite? If it was said in spite and I could sense that it was said in spite, then maybe I would have a reaction to that. If it was said and I could, read into the context of disrespect, then perhaps I would, be sharp and say, no, you can't address me that way. Because there's some people that will tell you, well, Tony, you say your business is, you can tell that, the arrogance, the disrespect, the poison in their words, it's obvious. In this case, that wasn't what was there. So if I were in that situation, I don't think what she was about to ask was as important as how she was addressing me. That's what I think, in my personal opinion. However, if she had said it in a manner that was disrespectful, if she had said it in a manner that was condescending, if she had said it in a manner that was seething with envy or some other negative emotion.
Who would speak to Tony Elumelu with
Ah, no,
anger
now he's a billionaire.
or
There are people that would speak to him
in
with.
condescending manner? Really? And, who
Oh
are
no,
you?
no,
Who
being
born you? Who's your
condescending does not
daddy?
necessarily. It's not a matter of status. So you understand, because a poor man can look at a rich man and say, "You're not as good as me. You don't suffer what I suffer every day.
Yeah.
So you're not as strong as I am. You're not." That's
Yeah,
condescending.
it could also be from a place of I'm rubbing shoulders with you, man.
Exactly. Oh, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by condescending. That's what I mean by disrespectful. So you can be a billionaire and a poor man will still look down on you, either because they
True.
think you lack morals, or they think you lack the experience, or they think you can't see from their point of
they
view.
just don't like
So it will be, they can't look on you condescendingly.
True.
So if it was done with that context, and of course, as a human being who has gotten to that level, I will be able to read people. That's a very serious trait. Even at a base level, in order for you to sell, in order for you to gain customers, in order for you to make money, you need to be able to read people, know when they're interested, know when they're not interested, know when you're getting your cues right and you're gaining their interest, and so on and so forth. So I'll be able to tell, or I should be able to tell, okay, maybe she's saying this out of disrespect, maybe she's saying this out of ignorance, maybe she's saying this because she's nervous. Because let's be honest, once you're put in a spot like that,
especially having to speak to your boss, like most definitely you're going to be nervous.
exactly, you could be nervous, and she could have stumbled on her words. So there's a plethora of reasons as to why she could have addressed him like that, as long as it wasn't negative. Honestly, I don't think if I were put in his situation, would have reacted that way. But then let me get your own opinion. Do you think if you were in his position, you would react similarly or differently?
Okay, so I think seeing the video would also give clarity, because we've talked about body language.
Yeah.
We talked about where the question was coming, or sorry, the name calling was coming from. If there was any sort of mannerism to it. I'm sure that seeing that particular video will give context to it. So what we're going to do is go on a short break, and when we do come back from the short break, but most definitely going to check out this video, and I will give my own take on it because it's long. I mean, there are other scenarios as well that I'm going to bring out to play while talking about it. So let's just
let's get that video.
Okay, the video is available now.
Yeah, so let's get that video.
Yes, please, let's get the video first of all.
Okay. Good morning, Tony.
Tony.
I said good morning, Tony.
Okay, no, you won't call me Tony. I'm not those people. You call me Miss Elumelu or TOE. You won't call me Tony or Chairman. That is, I don't subscribe to that kind of Oyibo life, okay? All right.
Good morning, Mr. Elumelu.
Thank
so my
you.
question is, okay. Good morning, Tony.
Tony.
I said good morning, Tony.
Okay, no, you won't call me Tony. I'm not those people. You call me Miss Elumelu or TOE. You won't call me Tony or Chairman. That is, I don't subscribe to that kind of Oyibo life, okay? All right.
Good morning, Mr. Elumelu.
Thank
so my
you.
question is, how do you know if you are to... Okay. Good morning, Tony.
Tony.
I said good morning, Tony.
Okay, no, you won't call me Tony. I'm not those people. You call me Miss Elumelu or TOE. You won't call me Tony or Chairman. That is, I don't subscribe to that kind of Oyibo life, okay? All right.
Good morning, Mr. Elumelu.
Thank
so my
you.
question is, how do you know if you are to keep going? Okay. Good morning, Tony.
Now, one thing, like I said, why I said she was coming from nervousness is because immediately she greeted him, she cleared her throat. Clearing your throat could be a sign of being parched, and that usually comes with nervousness. Even when they're interrogating you, once they notice that you're swallowing a lot, you're clearing your throat a lot, that's a sign of nervousness. So you are on the spot, you're nervous, and you're trying to, would I say, catch yourself. You're trying to get a hold of yourself and get yourself organized. So that is a sign of nervousness. And you can see she was also shaky, and immediately she greeted him. The way he, replied, she laughed nervously and all of that. So that's one of the reasons I said, from reading all of that, I was like, she's coming from a place of nervousness. It's not like she was keeping, straight eye contact. Her shoulders were broad and she was, straight up. Good morning, Tony. And you could see that she was even stumbling on her words. Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Tony. You could tell that she wasn't, she was nervous. For lack of better words, she was extremely nervous. So, I can't blame her for being nervous. You're in a crowd like that. We all know that how our first experience was in public speaking, especially if they called you for draw your sword back then. Oh my God. You'll be sweating, especially when they call you to do Bible verse reading. So you will be nervous when it comes to speaking in public like this. So just from looking at her reaction, I think it was coming from nervousness, but you wanted to get the context first by watching the video again.
We all get the context.
Let's get your own take.
First of all, I don't think anybody is talking about how shocked Tony Elumelu'S was when he heard his name. He was like, Toyi. He couldn't believe it that it was his name that, was actually coming out from this lady's mouth. Yeah. And then the lady had to repeat it and call him Tony. Now, if this was an interview session, where it was a one-on-one private interview, I would have said that, Tony acted out of place. Because obviously, I'm calling him Tony. So yeah, he acted out of place, because when you're having, obviously we are being taught in media that when you're having a conversation, you call them by their, their honors, whatever it is, and that's basically it. You don't owe anyone, Mr., Mrs., all of that, attached to the name. So if that was the case, I would have said, okay, he's acting out of place. But this was an interactive session, and from what I understand, it was a UBA Graduate Management Accelerated Program. So obviously they have this program they do every year, and then this was their trainee and graduate, ceremony, and this ceremony came with an interactive session where the graduates, which there were about 374 of them, these graduates have to ask. It was an open interactive session, so whatever it is that your question is that you need to ask, and then she stood up to ask the question and was met with that. I feel like, I don't know, there's a 6 minutes long video of the question she asked, that I saw, but I do feel that there's how that first minutes or that first interaction alone must have spoiled whatever it is she had in her mind. But she's definitely a really brilliant lady, because she went on with her questions like nothing happened. Anyways, away from that, now the banking sector has a rule, and funnily enough, even people that have graduated from this program have also come on social media to say that there is a rule in the banking sector, just like in the media. You do not owe anybody, customers whatsoever, their, Mr. or Mrs.
Yeah, they are.
You call them by their very first name. It is what it doesn't have anything to do with foreign land or Nigeria. It is the training that the bank gives to you, even from this program that they graduated from. So now the program happened. This girl is a fresh graduate of that particular program.
So she's practically.
So she's,
yes, she's proving herself worthy in character and learning.
So I feel like coming from there, the CEO himself knows this training. He would tell me he's not aware of this kind of training, because he was a banker before anything else. So he is definitely aware of this kind of training. So from that angle, I don't think also that he would have. I know the social media space is like, why will you call somebody by their first name? But there are some sort of trainings that you receive, and you know that these things are not wrong.
Exactly.
Me, for one, I would tell you, when I was growing up, in my primary school, they didn't teach us how to call people auntie this, uncle this.
Yeah, exactly.
We were taught how to call people Mr. this, Miss that, Mrs. that.
Ma'am.
Nobody, we didn't. And when I went to secondary school, it was affecting me, because I went to secondary school and everybody was uncle and auntie, and I came from a place where nobody was calling anybody uncle and auntie. We were taught it's Mr. this, it's Miss this, it's Mrs. that. So it was a bit of a struggle for me. But as I grew older, I understood that primary school, lessons I had was the best. So I stuck with that. Even when other people were calling everybody around them uncle and auntie, I'll call what I want to call, except you're not comfortable with it. It hardly happen, So that was the case. And in this case, imagine that your boss, let's say here in this office, we've been having a training from our head of station, and that training has passed through from our chairman to the head of station, right? And the head of station has given us this training, and then the day you're supposed to prove yourself, and then you to show your chairman that, oh, you've been learning.
You've been learning.
You now stand up, and now you now make, use what you've learned as an example, because you could obviously see her when it was like, huh, Tony, she would be called.
She
lie.
said it exactly.
I won't lie. Hearing her call Tony was kind of weird. Huh? Are you for real? But this is obviously something she's trying to prove.
Exactly.
So she's saying, even after that, there was no apology whatsoever. Even she got dragged for not apologizing. But I'm like, if I'm taught something and I'm displaying that thing, I don't need to apologize for that. Your organization taught me this.
Exactly.
So I should not be apologizing for something that you basically taught me.
Yeah.
So she actually having to say it twice. It means that in her mind, she obviously thought she was doing the right thing. Right. I've also seen this being attached to the Gen Zs. The fact that we have Gen Zs, I feel like Gen Zs have suffered a lot, because every ill behavior, everything we target to the Gen Zs.
Yeah,
no,
indeed.
I feel like Gen Zs are very respectful people. It's just that if you cross their lane, they will show you that respect is reciprocal.
Exactly. I think
if you cross their lane,
I love the fact. That's exactly what I wanted to point out. Just don't cross them.
Just don't go and be overdoing with the Gen. They will show you that they will not bow to you.
They will show you that respect is as you give me, I give you. Respect is basketballs.
Exactly. But definitely respect is being taught, But we should not attach every ill behavior to the Gen Zs. And this is not even an ill behavior. This, to me, is someone who felt really proud to come out, collect the mic and showcase what she's been taught.
What she has learned, exactly.
Yeah, what she has learned. And it's so sad that, she's now trending for the wrong reasons, and people don't even do the research to check, okay, what she did, was it right or wrong? I understand the immediate effect it had, because it had it on me too. Me hearing you just say, oh, good morning, Tony. I like, come again? Do you know who that is?
The funny thing is, even when I was having a conversation with a colleague, I was like, look, if you are in this situation, you need to look at different things. You need to look at, the etiquette of the place.
Yeah.
You need to look at the person you're addressing. You need to look at, the occasion.
Yeah, involved.
Because you can't go to a wedding, for example, and then start calling the bride or the groom sir and ma.
Yeah.
You call them
bride.
Newly wedded Mr. This or Mrs. That. Because that is the vibe of the place.
Yeah.
And once you understand all of that, you will know how to address him. And in this particular situation, she wasn't wrong in the way she addressed him. She wasn't wrong, because in that particular situation, like we've highlighted, that is what she was taught. That is what she has, inculcated.
Yeah.
That is what, it is. It's just like in the media job. Now, I was also explaining to the colleague that in the media job now, when I was taught that, it came as a shock to me.
Yeah,
because the person that taught me this was at least 40 years older than I am. At least. He's late now, rest his soul. But he was at least 40 years older than I was. So he told me, because I was calling him Mr. on air. So at one point, he, called me aside and he was like, well, he's been quiet about it, but he really needs to address it, that I shouldn't call him Mr. once we're on air. So he noticed my face cringe, and I was like, I should not call you Mr. How? Why? And I had much respect for him. So he was like, no, because he had to explain to me, that, this, that. I believe I was on my IT at that point in time, and unfortunately, they had not told us that in school yet, that once you go on air, you don't tell anybody. I think that's the reason for the IT. These are the things that you learn exactly firsthand. So as he told me that, it took a while, to inculcate it. Sometimes I'll be on air and say, Mr. I'll be like, he'll say, no problem, so it took a while to inculcate it, because that was how I was raised. I was brought up in an environment where calling someone Mr. or Miss or Mrs. was the order of the day, or you call them sir or ma'am, or we didn't even say ma. Where I was, where I went to secondary school, in the boarding school I went to, we just said ma'am or sir.
Ma'am or sir.
That was it. Ma'am or sir. So I always call, even when I type to date, I type ma'am, like M-A apostrophe A-M.
Yeah.
That's why I type. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So growing up with that and needing to put it to the side was heavy work. It was hard work. I won't lie to you. It was serious work. So in this particular situation, and him saying he does not subscribe to that Oyibo lifestyle, Vera, is it not the same him? Like, oh my days, is it not the same him that when he was in an interview abroad, I think it was in Canada?
Yeah, it was in Canada.
In an interview.
And the lady in question was also in Nigeria.
Was also Nigerian.
Media personality, just that it happened to you would have happened abroad.
So, she was like, "Good morning, Tony. I'm happy to." You know what? I think you should watch the video.
Yeah,
because you should see the video
so much
for
reference
yourself.
to that video as well.
You are one of the most celebrated and it's so great to have you here. Thank you for being with us today.
Good to meet you too.
It's so great to have you here. Thank you for being with us today.
Good to meet you too.
You are one of the most celebrated and most decorated business leaders in Africa, and I would posit the world. So it's truly an honor to be able to host you. It's so great to have you here. Thank you for being with us today.
Good to meet you too.
You are one of the most celebrated and most decorated business leaders in Africa, and I would posit the world. So it's truly an honor.
Tony, it's so great to have you here, and like it's great to be here, you know. So to a degree, he knows that this is exactly, this is how it is meant to be. And like you said, as a banker, he knows this is how it's meant to be. He has been in media spaces like this, so he knows this is how it's meant to be. So where did the "I don't subscribe to the Oyibo" mindset, like, don't you think, Vera, like, honestly speaking, don't you think this is like then killing what she has learned? Because if you gave a perfect example. If the chairman of our organization gives out a training and then goes down to the head of station, and then the head of station ensures that it's spread around, and then when the chairman is finally available and we are to interact with him because we have gone through the training and we are considered to be successful graduates of said training, and then I want to carry out, they say, okay, in order for you to manipulate the light in this aspect, you need to do this and do that and do this, and then immediately I touch the light, say, why are you touching the light like that? You know, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? I'm like, that's what I was taught to do. That's what the training you organized taught me to do. So why are you now telling me to go again? So what was the whole point of training me in the first place? You know? So I think it's counterintuitive. But what do you think?
Well, I want to look at it from two different ways, right?
Okay. I'd love to know what those two ways
first
are.
of all, this particular interview at Stanford, right? He went there. You know, he's a visitor there. Let's put it like that. So he's like going to someone's house, and then the person now calls you your name. So it's basically, this is how they are, or this is what, and I said before, this is an interview, so maybe he has done a lot of interviews, so he most definitely understands that my first name is definitely going to be what's called. So yeah, there is an understanding, this is an interview and this person is going to call me by my first name. And again, as I said, this is him going to this place. This is like, he's like a visitor there. So even if you want to complain about anything, he's going to complain maybe if you get some facts wrong, right? Or maybe you disrespect him, exactly. But when it comes to names, calling of names, he already knows, we're already very aware that when it comes to the media, we're not going to call you Mr. This and Mr. That. Now, coming back to what has happened here, because I've seen a lot of comparisons and people, you know, attributing the situation to familiarity, the fact that he's in Nigeria, so because he's in Nigeria, it means he's going to treat Nigerians a certain way, but when he goes abroad, when he goes to the US, you know, he's going to have a little bit, I mean, I feel like Tony Elumelu is too experienced for that, you know.
For it to be a case of being an alligator in Nigeria and then going to America and being a lizard or something.
No, I don't think so. I'm not saying it's a fact, because he's someone that, you know, has planted his seeds in different places. So
he's been around the world.
He's been around the world. He's even respected around the world as well. So I do not think that, you know, that will be the case. However, my theory is this: when it comes home, is this are his students. You're going to be working at UBA, you're going to be working at his firm, you know, so he has the right to correct you on what to call him. It's like our chairman coming, and you know, we've been taught that, oh, as far as chairman is concerned, you're going to be, you know, calling him by his name, Mark Anthony, right? And chairman walks in and, you know, you're telling him, you're calling, oh, Mark Anthony, and he's surprised because I'm your chairman, you know, so I'm going to teach you a new way you're going to call me. Ethics are there and all of that, but this is how I want you to call me because I'm the chairman. So I feel like that is the case.
But then,
with
don't
him.
you think that then goes against
What it is that they've been
basic
taught.
workplace etiquette? Because once it comes to, when it comes to the workplace,
Yeah.
there are certain conducts that should be carried out, or it's expected of a professional organization.
Yeah.
So if, for example, outside, I'm outside with the chairman and I'm like, oh, Mr. McAnthony, Mr. Chairman. But once we come here and I call him, so McAnthony, and he say, no, don't call me that
Yeah.
on air. That goes against every broadcast training. I can call him, of course. I can call him Mr. McAnthony on air. You understand? But by normal broadcast standards, it is not, expected to the sense that if I don't call you Mr., you will then call me out on it.
Yeah.
You understand? So in that situation, isn't that the exact same situation that, okay, you are at a point where the etiquette that they have taught you is at play?
Yeah. I understand that part, but again, this is your employer. This is your boss.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So at the end of the day, what he wants is what will go. So yes, you've been taught all of this. It's not maybe applicable to him because he's your boss. Because
Okay.
he's your chairman. This is how your chairman wants to be addressed. But of course, your ethics have been, you're going to follow your ethics when you're dealing with other customers. He's not your customer. He's the owner of the bank.
True.
So,
True.
he's not your customer. So maybe, not even maybe, some, etiquette will fly over when it comes
Yeah.
to him. So in that case, I just feel like maybe, I feel like people have taken it out of context based off who he is, But I do not think that he disrespected her or he sounded really bad. I know.
Yeah,
at the
no.
beginning-
If we're going to that angle, I don't think he
Yeah.
spoke to her disrespectfully.
I know at the
or
beginning I was like, I would have said
reprimanded her meanly or something.
I think correcting her is what I would have said he did bad. But at the end of the day, he didn't speak to her disrespectfully. I'm even sure that if Tony Elumelu had known that this was going to be a trend by this today, he wouldn't have probably sounded the way he sounded, Because at the end of the day, it's contradicting what the bank teaches or the ethics of the bank. So I do know for a fact that he didn't disrespect. He wanted to be called Mr. Tony or by his surname. He even
Or
gave
TOE.
gave her other options. TOE, Elumelu, call me anything else, but don't call me by my first name. You are not in position. Besides, let's not even lie. The bank does not really even give you the what they call it. The policy does not say you should call people by their first name. It says call, even in the media. It doesn't say call people by their first name. Call them by their first two names.
First two names, yeah.
Or by their surnames. You can't just call people by their first name. You're not familiar with them. It's only when you're friends with them. But if we are dealing with things officially, official recognition is call people by their two names or call people by their surnames.
Yeah.
So in short, she even saying Tony. It's like, are you in the bedroom, honey? So I think she would have said good morning Tony Elumelu or TOE or any of that, just calling him Tony in the way that she did, and she's feminine, so it came across like, excuse me.
What are you saying?
Up to?
Did I just hear more?
Yeah, the way it came across, the way it sounded.
Yeah.
Because even when I heard it, I was like, huh? It takes a while for you to know that, okay, maybe she's not entirely wrong.
Yeah.
But then, he corrected her, and the correction didn't even have anything. I think that the correction was still in line with calling, with the ethics, because he was like, call me Mr. Tony, call me TOE, or you call me Elumelu. Do not call me Tony. Tony is like familiarity. You can't just call, even in official, situations or scenarios, you do not call people, as much as Mr. and Mrs. might not be allowed, you do not call people by their first name like that. You call them by their first two names, or you call them by their surnames. And even when you're calling them by your surnames, you are supposed to put Mr. in front of their names, or Miss, and refer to your surname. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think that people just need to understand how these things work.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we now start saying, oh, we are borrowing culture, no. There's a difference. When you're dealing in official space, minus borrowing culture, official space has its official ethics, it has its arrangements, and of course, for things to even work smooth, it needs to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So yes, there's nothing wrong with that. When we go back home, when we want to represent our culture, we represent our culture as much as it's needed. But when it's time to actually be official, then it's important that we are actually official, because when it comes to official settings, you're also placed on the global stage. Everyone is looking for how to get their businesses or their official, or environments to a global stage. So when you get to a global stage, you need to be able to, have etiquette that is being recognized around the world, as much as you're also trying to inculcate your culture into it. Yes, that would be my take anyways.
Well, one thing I would also like to point out is that I love the fact that, Elumelu was cordial with it. He didn't come off as being rude
Rude.
or mean or condescending. He was more or less, he even laughed at first,
Yeah.
to soften the mood. He laughed. He was like, Tony, and then he said, no, good morning, Tony. Like, oh,
He
no, no,
was
no.
shocked.
Don't call me Tony. You can call me TOE. You can call me. So he gave her several options and he was like, okay, continue. And I love the fact that he did that. I saw some comments on the post, and some people were calling it an overinflated sense of pride and ego. Some people were calling it, disrespect on the girl's part. Who is she to call him Tony? Some people put it or frame it in the manner of I saw this comment and it made me laugh. I'm just going to what's the word, I'm just going to paraphrase it because it was longer than this, and it was meaner than this, but I'll just paraphrase it to soften the blow. One person was like, he says, now poor man, they get my pass. So I was like, how does the wealth of this person have anything to do with it? What we're talking about is etiquette. What we're talking about is workplace etiquette. We're talking about not only even workplace etiquette, we're talking about reaction, which, like we said earlier, his reaction to it was valid. Now, before we round up, Vera, I would want to ask another thing, and it's a question I would want you guys to if you're watching us on YouTube, you share your thoughts. If you're watching us on television, you can of course go to any of our handles, most especially our YouTube, because we're live there right now. Drop a comment and let us know what you think. If you were put in that situation, this is for you now. If you were put in that situation, how would you react? If you were put in that situation where your trainee, your worker, your employee addressed you in that manner, looking at their reaction, looking at, like all the things we pointed out earlier, her mannerisms, her mode of speaking, all the factors that could lead to her calling you that, which we've pointed out. We've pointed out her learning that as the work culture. We've talked about her being nervous overall. We've talked about the different things that could have led to her just calling him Tony. What would you have done in that situation, putting all of these into consideration? Would you have perhaps been meaner? Would you perhaps have been, as soft as Tony was? Or maybe, just maybe, you would have not even answered them at all. What are your reactions? Our social media handles are on display right now. You can follow us on all social media handles: CEMTV Plus, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, and of course, YouTube. That's the question for you. Now, the question for Vera. This is the last question I'll ask you before we round up. Do you think his pride had anything to do with it? Because when we talk about how you are addressing me and how I will feel about it, if I'm not insulting you, if I'm not being condescending, and if I'm not, if I'm not insulting you or being condescending, and I address you without formalities and so on and so forth, do you think that me reacting because you did not include those formalities, especially in a situation where my status far exceeds yours, do you think it's my pride talking? Because that's what some people think, Now, in my personal opinion, first of all, I don't think it has anything to do with pride. That's what I think. I think that it's just based on personal preference. Some people don't like personally, their names I'm called at home, I don't want to hear people at work or outside calling me that name, because there's this sentiment attached to that name. You know, their names, everyone is known by different names at different places. I've forgotten what, you know, the Japanese call it, but it's like everywhere you go, you have different faces, you have different masks, you know. So the people in your secondary school called you a different name from the people in your primary school. The people in another different secondary school called you a different name. You know, people in another workplace called you a different name from this workplace. So there are certain names you would hear, you know, it's only someone that has known me from so place that would call me by that name. So when you see someone that does not fall into that category calling you that name, it just irks you. You know, that's the way it is for me. You know, there are certain names I would hear someone call me and I know, okay, for this person to call me this name, it means they know me from somewhere. And then I turn and I'm like, you're not meant to know this name. You're not meant to call me this name. You know, so I may not react that way, you know, but I will feel uncomfortable. So that's why I'm like, I don't think it's a pride thing. I think it must have been that situation because I'm trying to put myself in that shoe, because it's like, maybe he's used to family just calling him Tony. He is used to business partners calling him Tony. He is used to, you know, loved ones calling him Tony. So anyone outside of that circle calling him Tony, or he's used to, you know, media professionals calling him Tony. So anyone outside of that circle, it seems just weird and off. But what do you think? Do you think maybe it's his pride, or maybe it's just...
Well, you're absolutely correct. To start with, I'll use myself for an example. I have 3 names from 3 different people. There are people who call me V. And if I'm being honest, I think that's the most sentimental name I have, because there are people who will call me V and I'm looking at you like, who gave you the audacity? How did you form? How did you come, you know? And then, of course, there's the Vera. And there is Veronica. Now, before someone calls me Veronica, I already know that, this person is from way back. Who are you? You know? But Vera, like, everyone can have access to that name. Everybody calls me Vera. So, same thing. There's how you hear your name from someone. It's just like how people usually say, baby from the wrong person can be very annoying.
Can be, very true.
You know, there's how somebody is strange. I mean, he couldn't even believe that this lady called him Tony. I was like, Tony.
You said Tony?
You know,
maybe it's another name.
It sounds really strange, rather, from this person. Also, you talked about pride. I don't know if I should refer to it as pride, but this is it. I feel like there's a level that you get to, you just demand, you just expect respect from people, and it doesn't even have to be about money. Even in this industry, Tammy, there's a stage you reach in this industry, right? And then maybe you see interns or someone that's doing something, and it's the way they will disregard you, right? And you might not say it out because you're not like, you know, the person who is big on respect, but you just feel disrespected. Like, I've come to find this industry for this. You know? So there's a certain way, a certain place you reach. And there's some certain things you hear or somebody refers to you in a certain way, like, I've passed this level. It's just like when somebody, you know, gets a doctorate degree and all of that. A lot of people think that when they get it, they're always too... like they want that name so badly, but they've worked for it. They've gotten to that point. So there's a point, like when you call me that name, like when you call me and you don't put it, like, I worked for that name, please put it back. Put that name back. So it's not even from a place of pride. Sometimes it's just, I've worked for this thing. The main essence why I worked for it is so that you put it in my name. Do you understand? So sometimes these things, it's not pride, it's just sense of fulfillment. Like they give you a pat on your back that you've come a long way.
This far.
You know, so sometimes it doesn't even have anything to do with pride, or maybe a little bit of pride. But I mean, a little bit of pride doesn't hurt anybody. So it's really okay. I still maintain that I don't think Tony Elumelu came from a wrong place. Also, the lady didn't come from a wrong place. You know, they could have been. It's just a very simple, it's just a situation of being corrected in class. Simple, you know, but it has been taken out of context on social media. And I also understand the sentiments of the people, you know, who have responded or who have commented on the situation. But overall, I don't think it had anything to do with pride.
Well, indeed, Vera has shared her thought that she doesn't think it has anything to do with pride. And that's the most we can take on Jolly Life today. I do hope you enjoyed our conversation. If perhaps you missed it, fear not. Our social media is there. This episode will be posted on our YouTube, CEMTV Plus, and of course you can follow us on every other social media platform that exists. Trust me, as long as it exists, we're there. X, Threads, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, every single one. We are there. CEMTV Plus, every single one of them. I am Emmanuel Tamuno Tenari, but you can call me Tammy for short. And with this, I bid you adieu.